transition to Dolty career. We also welcome the speaker, Dr. N. Ravichandran, MD General, DTDCH, is currently working as Senior Assistant Professor with Government Stanley Medical College. He has served as a physician in HIV care and support in the Center of Excellence, DHTM, Tambaram, for 16 years. He was the Nodal Officer for Pediatric Care and Support for Children Living with HIV and AIDS from 2008 to 2015. He has more than 20 articles published in prestigious medical journals. He has contributed a chapter in the textbook of HIV medicine or diploma in HIV medicine of IGNOU, New Delhi, as well as a chapter on antiretroviral therapy in medicine, update 2019. Conducted many international, national, and state level trainings for doctors from all over the country in HIV care and support. He is a member of the Bioethics Committee, Government Stanley Medical College. His area of interest is infectious disease. We request Dr. N. Ravichandran to take over the session.
Thank you so much for the nice introduction. Yes. I thank Dr. Anba for giving me all the slides. So I owe everything to him. And I was lucky to be one of the mentors when he did his fellowship in HIV at GHM Tamara. So coming to the content of the talk today, we'll talk about the phase 1 of NACO's DTG, that is dolutegravir. We'll call it DTG from now. Transition plan and transition from ZLN, that is zidovudin, lamivudin, nevirapine, to the regimen that is TLD, tenofovir, lamivudin, and dolutegravir. And why we are going to give dolutegravir, we are going to have a brief discussion. Also about pharmacology of dolutegravir and also the benefits. And what are the upcoming regimens, right? So we are going to talk about dolutegravir, that is DTG-based regimens in first, second, and third line ART. And also the role of dolutegravir in special situations like HIV-TB co-infections and women in reproductive age group. And also DTG-based ART as PEP, that is post-exposure prophylaxis. And also a final mention, a few words and the notes for the ARTC staff.
Excuse me, sir. Please give us 2 minutes, sir. Only the title slide is being displayed. Somebody from your side have to click on enable editing. It's there at the top of the screen. Please click on enable editing in the PPT file.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
You can close the file and reopen it. It's okay, take your time. Yeah, please open the file, click on enable editing, then share your screen.
Enable.
Right. Yeah, please try to change these slides. Yeah. Okay. Can you switch to the full screen mode at the bottom? Yeah, same. Yes. Great.
All things. Just going to reiterate
yes,
what I, yes, ma'am. I think.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You can continue.
Yes, I'm just going to reiterate whatever I said. So we are going to talk about the phase 1 of NACO's DTG transition plan. The DTG, all of you know, is dolutegravir, the new wonderful integrase inhibitor. And we are going to talk about transition from ZLM, that is zidovudine, lamivudine, and nevirapine. These patients will be shifted to TLD regimen, that is tenofovir, lamivudine, and dolutegravir. We are going to say why we are going to give dolutegravir, why is it preferred over the other drugs. We are also going to give a brief account of the pharmacology of dolutegravir and also the benefits. We are going to talk about the upcoming regimens. So we are going to use dolutegravir, that is DTG-based regimens in first line, second line, and also in third line ART. And DTG in special situations like HIV, TB co-infections, which is extremely common, and also women in the reproductive age group. And we are going to talk about dolutegravir-based ART as post-exposure prophylaxis. And finally, a few words on the notes for ARTC start. So why we are going to switch over to dolutegravir? So the rationale. So we are going to subdivide it into topics. First is efficacy and safety. Second is the simplification of the drug. Third is the harmonization across different groups. And finally, the cost. Coming to the efficacy and safety, you can look at the chart. So you can see the virologic potency. The potency is as good as Dorna. So this is one drug that is as good as a protease inhibitor, the best protease inhibitor available right now. So we are using the most potent protease inhibitor, that is Darunavir, as a third line drug. It's a very, very potent drug. So this drug is almost as potent as that. So we'll talk about it later. And coming to lower toxicity again, the green is the yes, and the red is no, and the yellow is ongoing studies. So you can see the lower toxicity with dolutegravir. And similar to protease inhibitors, it has got a high genetic barrier to resistance. This is the important things about the efficacy and safety. And coming to the simplification of the drug. So it is available as a single drug, that is single pill, generic FDC, fixed dose combination. So it's available as a single pill TLD, that is tenofovir, lamivudine with dolutegravir. And you have a low pill burden, and the size of the tablet is also small. And coming to the use in pregnant women, we have got a lot of studies, though we have proved that it causes more neural tube defects when compared to efavirenz, about 0.3% when compared to efavirenz, which is about 0.1%. But we can always explain it to the patient before using TLD or TLE. Suppose they want to start TLE, we can always go for TLE. And use in childbearing age women, we have ongoing studies, and it's quite encouraging. I'll tell you why. And use in children, yes, it's going to be used in children above 6 years of age and above 20 kg in weight. So it's going to be used across different populations, except the smaller children, less than 6 years and less than 20 kg of weight. Again, in tuberculosis, which is extremely common, we don't have to worry about going for rifabutin and all that. We can continue rifampicin only because we have to give an additional dose of dolutegravir. Now, the normal dose of dolutegravir is 50 milligram once a day. We are giving it as a single pill at night. There is a triple drug. And we should also give an additional dose of dolutegravir in the morning, 50 milligrams. So in HIV-associated TB, we give dolutegravir 50 milligram BD. And drug interactions are also much less when compared to NNRTAs and protease inhibitors. And again, low price is also one of the important factors. So these are the factors which make us transition to the newer regimen, which comprises dolutegravir, that is DTG. And coming to the phase 1 transition plan, there is an NACO guidance, May 2020. So, as per the TRG recommendations and availability, it has been desired to introduce dolutegravir-based regimens for people with HIV on alternate second line and third line regimen. The following is recommended. That is, we are going to use dolutegravir in place of balotegravir in alternate second line. And we are going to use dolutegravir in third line ART instead of balotegravir. And those with third line failure, that is not widely suppressed even after step-up adherence counseling and repeat testing, we can always have a salvage regimen with Darunavir. Only thing is we have to give a higher dose of dolutegravir, 50 mg. Normally we give Darunavir with dolutegravir or 50 mg OD normally. But when we are having a third line failure, we can use a salvage regimen. That is dolutegravir, the dose can be increased and it's still found to be effective. And clients should be counseled and informed the rationale for transitioning to the new regimen. And also pregnant women and women of reproductive age and potential should be explain the risk of neurodegenerative defects the first trimester. And you can give them the option to opt out of the DTG based regimen. Suppose they want TLE, we can always go for TLE. So coming to the patient groups for DTG transition phase 1, all patients currently on raltegravir based regimens are going to be switched over to dolutegravir. So what the limited stocks available, we are exhausting and changing over to DTG. And all patients who need to be switched to third line ART or to alternate second line ART, DTG will be the preferred integrase inhibitor instead of raltegravir. So what are they going to do when the current regimen is raltegravir and lopinavir? So the patient is already on raltegravir and lopinavir. So when you are going to shift the regimen to dolutegravir, first we are going to do a viral load. So if the viral load test results show that the viral suppression is good, that is viral load is less than 1000 copies, we are going to continue lopinavir and give dolutegravir instead of raltegravir. But here we are going to give only dolutegravir OD because the already existing regimen of raltegravir is working, viral load is less than 1000, we need to give dolutegravir as OD dose only. Suppose it is unsuppressed, that is the viral load is more than or equal to 1000 copies, what that means the regimen has failed. So we have to switch the regimen now. So lopinavir has to be changed over to darunavir. So we are going to go for darunavir based regimen. And since raltegravir is failed, we are going to change over to dolutegravir BID dosage. So integrase inhibitor has already failed. So if you give OD dose, it may not be enough. So patient on raltegravir and lopinavir regimen, if they are unsuppressed, that means they have gone for failure with this regimen. So we have to go for darunavir based regimen with dolutegravir 50 mg. Now we have another regimen where you have already given raltegravir with darunavir. Suppose they are suppressed virologically, you continue darunavir, give dolutegravir, that is DTG 50 mg OD. If they are unsuppressed, if the viral load is more than or equal to 1000 copies, we continue darunavir and give dolutegravir 50 mg, similar to what we did previously. Then coming to multiple NRTA exposed patients with virological failure who need second line initiation. So we are not going to give NRTAs at all. Now we have to go for lopinavir ritonavir along with dolutegravir 50 mg OD. Okay, I think everything is clear. Second line failure patients, that is 2 NRTAs with protease inhibitors who need a third line ART. Here we can't go for atazanavir or lopinavir. Remember one thing, if atazanavir has failed, lopinavir is going to fail and vice versa. So we have to go for darunavir. So darunavir with dolutegravir. I think things should be clear so far. Yes. So remember a few things. If tenofovir is failing, abacavir is going to fail and vice versa. Similarly, if lopinavir is failing, we can't give atazanavir and vice versa. If viral load testing is a challenge because of the current COVID pandemic, decision on DTG transition may be based on the latest available viral load testing. So before starting dolutegravir, we are always going to have the viral load. So the main thing we are going to emphasize is the switch over from ZLN, that is zidovudine, lamivudine, nevirapine based regimen to TLE, that is tenofovir, lamivudine and dolutegravir. This is the NACO guidance on 7th July 2020. So again, so these are the patients. As per TRG recommendations, it has been desired to introduce dolutegravir based regimens in a phased manner. So we are going to switch the patients who are on ZLN regimen. If they are virally suppressed, that means the viral load is less than 1000, we are going to change over to DTG based first line. Okay, we are going to give TLD as first line. If they are failed on ZLN regimen, suppose if the viral load is more than or equal to 1000 copies, then they are going to be switched over to the same regimen, but as second line. Essentially, both are same. Only thing is, if it has failed, we are going for first line. Second line regimen, if it has been successful, we are going to be put them on first line regimen. So if the treatment is the same, so failure is there, we are going to go for second line TLD. If the failure is not there, if the patient is biologically doing well, we are going to give TLD as first line. So it's available as in all the warehouses, and switching to first line or second line and TLD needs to be properly recorded and entered in relevant documents, okay, including MPR, that is monthly progress reports. Prior to switching, clients should be counseled and informed the rationale why we are going to switch over to the new regimen. We are going to tell the benefits of the new drug. Also, pregnant women and women of preparatory age and potential should be explained the risk of neural tube defects in the first trimester. And there should be given the option to opt out of DTG and go for TLE, that is efavirenz-based regimen. So, therefore, states are requested to make switch at the earliest as the ZLN stocks are fast depleting. So, PLHIV with viral load less than 1,000 copies or fully suppressed. PLHIV with viral load more than or equal to 1,000 copies should undergo step-up adherence for 3 months. The patient should have an adherence rate of more than 95% for the next 3 months, and then we repeat a viral load. Repeat viral load has to be done once the adherence is more than 95% for the next 3 months. If the repeat viral load is less than 1,000 copies, we are going to start dolutegravir-based regimen as first line. If the viral load is more than or equal to 1,000 copies, we are going to refer them to SASA. Here also we are going to start dolutegravir, but as second. Okay, I think things should be clear so far. So again, we are going to summarize. Patient on ZLN-based regimen, you check the viral load, less than 1,000 copies, switch over to TLD. That is first line. The viral load is more than or equal to 1,000 copies. You do step-up adherence counseling for 3 months. Repeat the viral load, provided the adherence is more than 95% for the next 3 months. If the viral load at that time is less than 1,000, you switch over to TLD as first line. If the repeat viral load is more than or equal to 1,000, that means the patient has failed the process, and you're going to refer to SASA and switch over to TLD as second line. Okay. Right. So current regimen, if it is ZLN, viral load less than 1,000 copies, we are going to give TLD, but we are going to give the first line. That is one thing. If the viral load is more than or equal to 1,000 copies, repeat viral load after 3 months of step-up adherence, and viral load is again more than 1,000, we refer to SASA because we have documented treatment failure. Here we are going to start TLD as second line. So why dolutegravir-based regimens? We are going to see the rationale. So we have got a lot of studies. So a lot of studies are done where they have compared dolutegravir over efavirenz. So you can see at 48 and 96 weeks, you can see the viral load, the viral suppression is much higher in the dolutegravir group compared to efavirenz. So viral load suppression is much better for dolutegravir when compared to efavirenz. So obviously we are going to prefer dolutegravir over efavirenz. This is one factor. Then how early we are getting the viral suppression. It takes only about 4 weeks for the viral suppression for dolutegravir. It takes as much as 12 weeks for efavirenz. You can see the graph here. You can see that the viral load suppression is much earlier for dolutegravir. So we prefer DTG over efavirenz for this factor too. Then we have a single study, that is dolutegravir. The toleration. The dolutegravir regimen was much better tolerated with fewer discontinuation rates when compared to efavirenz. You can see at about 48 and 96 weeks, the discontinuation rate was only about 2 to 3% for dolutegravir when compared to efavirenz, which was about 10 to 11%, 5 times more. So the tolerance is also much higher, about 5 times better for dolutegravir when compared to efavirenz. So you can see this, so many studies, single study, spring study, flamingo study, sailing study, a lot of studies. So you see that there are no integrase inhibitor resistance, and not even NRT resistance. Suppose you are using integrase inhibitor, the viral suppression is so good that you are not getting resistance to the drug with which it is combined. So NRTs also don't go for resistance. It also protects the other drug with which it is combined. So the same thing with spring and also flamingo. You can see that there are no emergent integrase inhibitor mutations, nor do we have NRT mutations. Okay, after 48 or 96 weeks. And again, they've also compared in the sailing study the efficacy of resistance mutations of dolutegravir, dolutegravir, and it's again much lower. So you can see the resistance mutations is only 1% for dolutegravir compared to dolutegravir. It's about 5 times more, 5%. So obviously, the sailing study has shown the superiority of dolutegravir over raltegravir. That's why we have phased out raltegravir, changing over to TTG. Then you can see the potency and barrier tests. Look at the potency. So you can see coming to the potency, it is as good as darunavir. So it's almost as good as the best protease inhibitor we have. So potency wise, dolutegravir is as good as darunavir. Again, coming to barrier to resistance, again, it's at the top. It's as good as darunavir. So, both in terms of potency and barrier to resistance, dolutegravir is as good as the best protease inhibitor, that is darunavir. That's why we combine both of them for the third line. So they have done a Botswana study. Sepama study is basically the birth outcomes. It has been done at 8 of the largest maternity wards in Botswana, and they have showed neural tube defects. Initially, the analysis showed 0.9%. Then further studies shown that it has grown to 0.3%, but still it is statistically significant compared to FIV. Remember that. So when you have dolutegravir-based regimen, the neural tube defects are about 0.3 to 0.35%, whereas for efavirenz it's about 0.1 to 0.12%. So 3 times higher. So in the first trimester, again, dolutegravir has got more neural tube defects, about 3 times more when compared to efavirenz. But once the first trimester is over, it is very, very safe to start dolutegravir. So in the first trimester, you should give them the option of going for efavirenz because of neural tube defects. And what are the benefits? So you should also look at the good things about dolutegravir. In women of childbearing potential, there's greater maternal viral suppression. That's one factor we have to look at that. Fewer maternal deaths, fewer sexual transmissions, and fewer mother-to-child transmissions. So these are the benefits of dolutegravir. So the risks of dolutegravir are there's an increase in adult morbidity, including weight gain. So if you have increased weight gain for mothers, it can have the mothers can go for pregnancy-induced diabetes. That is, so that's one. Gestation diabetes is very common here, and even preeclampsia is more common in weight gain. So these are the things we should look at. So maternally, the DTG can lead to weight gain. This weight gain can lead to gestation diabetes and also preeclampsia. And in children, there's more incidence of stillbirths. That's one thing we should look at. So there's also an adverse fetal outcome and also congenital anomalies. So coming to congenital anomalies, so it's more even when the mother is having increased weight. So these are the things you should look at. So weight gain is a distinct possibility. So you should also look at this maternal and fetal outcomes. The risk-benefit model suggests that the benefits likely to outweigh the risks. So the blanket exclusion that deny women DTG is not totally warranted. Just if it provided you tell them that these are the benefits and these are the risks associated with dolutegravir. I think, hope I'm clear so far. So to women of childbearing age, effective contraception should be offered. And DTG can be prescribed for adult women and adolescent girls of childbearing age potential who wish to become pregnant or who are not otherwise using consistent and effective contraception if they have been fully informed of the potential increase in the risk of neural tube defects. Okay, as we said, obesity is one factor that can lead to the poor maternal and fetal outcomes and also an increase in the risk of neural tube defects. So these are the things you have to explain. In case a woman does not want to have dolutegravir, you can initiate them on TA-based regimen. Of course, if they are found to be pregnant, it is after 12 weeks of, if it is after first trimester, dolutegravir can be safely initiated or continued for the duration of pregnancy. So the other important benefits are rapid, as we said, rapid viral suppression about 4 weeks only, and fewer toxicities and side effects, minimal discontinuation, only about 2 to 3% when compared to about 10 to 12% with efavirenz. And the cutaneous side effects are much less, only about 2% when compared to 13% with efavirenz. And again, neuropsychiatric events are much more with efavirenz. Only side effect which is more common with dolutegravir was insomnia, just 13% when compared to 7% of efavirenz. But statistically speaking, the other side effects are much less when compared to efavirenz. So dolutegravir is much safer for both skin and neuropsychiatric manifestations. And it's definitely a more potent regimen and not much of treatment emergent resistance. And drug interactions are much less. Even with rifampicin, only thing is you have to increase the dose to 50 milligram weekly. So you can safely use dolutegravir, give an additional dose of 50 milligram of dolutegravir in the morning. And we have an extremely high genetic barrier to resistance. as good as PIs. And one more important thing is it's effective against HIV too. The major bugbear we have with NNRTIs is that they are intrinsically inactive against HIV2. But dolutegravir is active against HIV2 also, and you can harmonize across patient populations, including children above 6 years and about 20 kg of weight. So these are the obvious benefits of dolutegravir. That's why we have transitioned to dolutegravir-based regimens. So what is the mechanism of action? All of you know about the ART. So these are the drugs available. So you have the viral DNA within the T lymphocyte or the macrophage, whatever it is, the viral DNA is within the cell. This combines with the host nuclear DNA with the help of an enzyme called integrase. This step is inhibited or stopped by integrase. So this integrase inhibitor stops the fusion of the viral DNA with the host nuclear DNA. This step is stopped by integrase inhibitor. This is how it acts. So what are the adverse events and drug interactions of DTG? So you can have insomnia, headache, dizziness, and tiredness. Insomnia slightly more in compared to efavirenz, but other side effects are much less. Allergic reactions are also much less. Only about 2% for dolutegravir when compared to efavirenz, which can be as high as 13%. And again, as we said, the DTG associated weight gain with the maternal and fetal problems, which we already enlisted earlier. But then we can always recommend a healthy diet and regular exercise to help manage the weight. So if we can do it, then we don't have to worry about this aspect of weight gain. So coming to the drug interactions, amodiaquine we hardly ever use, so we don't have to worry. When we are using anti-seizure medications, don't use carbamazepine, phenytoin, and phenobarb because these are the enzyme inducers. So they potentially bring down the levels of dolutegravir. So you might have to increase the use of dolutegravir. So preferably avoid. You've got other groups of drugs. So you don't have to use carbamazepine, phenytoin, phenobarbital. You've got sodium valproate. You've got levetiracetam. New list of drugs are available. Whole list of drugs are available. So don't combine carbamazepine, phenytoin, and phenobarbital because these enzyme inducers can bring down the levels of dolutegravir. And again, dofetilide is an anti-arrhythmic drug which we don't use with dolutegravir. But we again, in Tambram, we don't use dofetilide at all, so we don't have to worry. And patients on metformin, you have to reduce the dose of metformin to 1000 milligram per day. So normally we go up to a maximum dose of 2250 milligram. But when we are giving dolutegravir, we have to reduce the dose of metformin to 1000 milligram per day. And when we are using polyvalent cation products like aluminum, calcium, iron, magnesium, so we give a lot of supplements. Sometimes they do more harm because the absorption of the drugs is reduced. So you give antacids, multivitamins, zinc, and supplements, vitamin supplements we are giving. So if you are using that, you have to use them 2 hours before or 6 hours after DTG. So if you are using any of these products containing these cations, you have to use them 2 hours before or 6 hours after dolutegravir. Suppose you are using rifampicin for ADD, you have to use dolutegravir BID dosage. You give the normal TLD at night and give an additional dose of dolutegravir 50 mg once a day in the morning. So how dolutegravir is proposed to be used under the national program? So we do a viral load testing when we are going to transition the patient. Okay, if they are virally suppressed, don't worry at all. You can change over to TLD first time. Okay, if they are virally unsuppressed, suppose the viral load is more than or equal to 1000 copies, patients should undergo enhanced adherence step-up counseling for the next 3 months. You continue the already existing regimen. Okay, patients should have an adherence rate of more than 95% before we conduct the second viral load 3 months later. So dolutegravir-based regimens for treatment of HIV positive adults, adolescents, and children weighing more than 20 kg and age more than 6 years. So most of the population will be covered. So weighing more than 20 kg and age more than 6 years is the cutoff. So DTG-based regimens will be the preferred regimens in the national program for the new patients as well as patients who are already on ART. And selection of appropriate DTG-based regimen would depend on the viral load suppression status. So we are going to do the viral load suppression and also about the current ART drugs we are using, right? So this is how we are going to select. So the patients who are already on various regimens will be gradually shifted to DTG-based regimens in a phased manner. And transition plan will be based on the drug stocks available. Logistics is also important. And NACO will be issuing office orders from time to time for transition to DTG-based regimens. And DTG-based regimens to be implemented after release of office memorandum from NACO. So again, we are going to reiterate preferred first line regimen for all PL-HAV with age more than 10 years and weight more than 30 kg. We are going to give tenofovir, lamivudine, and dolutegravir. Remember that this 10 years and 30 kg cutoff is mainly for tenofovir. The cutoff for dolutegravir is 6 years and 20 kg. Remember that. So if they fulfill this criteria of more than 10 years and weight more than 30 kg, you give tenofovir, lamivudine, and dolutegravir. That is TLD, one tablet once a day. It can be given at bedtime or any fixed time depending on the patient's convenience. So you're covering everything: HIV-1, HIV-2, co-infection of HIV-1 and 2. And one more important factor: women exposed to single dose nevirapine in the past, they may be archiving NNRTA resistance. So these patients will be obviously benefited by TLD regimen. And patients co-infected with tuberculosis, we are going to give dolutegravir. Only thing we are going to give a BD dosage, so 50 mg BD. If they are having hepatitis B and C also, there is no issue at all. We can give TLD regimen. And women of childbearing age and potential should be provided the informed choice about the benefits and the risks. As we said, the weight gain, the maternal and the fetal outcomes, and again, the neural tube defects are more common with dolutegravir. If you explain all this, you are done. Okay? Again, these guidelines will be implemented after release of office memorandum from NACO. So PL-HAV with body weight less than 30 kg. Less than 30 kg, we are not going to give tenofovir because of the effect on the growing bones. So we are going to give abacavir instead. So abacavir, lamivudine with dolutegravir if the weight is less than 30 kg. Again, less than 10 years also the same. So we are not going to give tenofovir less than 10 years. We are going to give abacavir. If the patients have a pre-existing renal disease with high serum creatinine values, then we can't give tenofovir. We give abacavir the usual dosage. Remember here, we have to reduce the lamivudine dosage according to the creatinine clearance. We can't give the fixed dose combination. So when you have high creatinine values, you give abacavir full dose, dolutegravir full dose, but lamivudine you have to give the dose according to the creatinine clearance. So you have to give individual pills in this situation. And patients on rifampicin containing ATT, you give TLD at night and also an additional dose of dolutegravir 50 mg in the morning, because rifampicin, as we all know, is a powerful enzyme inducer. It's going to bring down the levels of dolutegravir also, but this can be circumvented by giving an additional dose of dolutegravir 50 mg in the morning. Again, coming to the females in reproductive age group who opt out of TLD, they say that I don't want to have all these risks of weight gain and also neural tube defects. You can prescribe them TLE. Suppose efavirenz cannot be given. Suppose they have HIV-2 infection either alone or with HIV-1. So you have a combination of HIV-1 and 2 or HIV-2 infection, or prior NNRTA exposure, that is perinatal prophylaxis. Suppose you have an exposure to nevirapine, you can't give NNRTAs. And they also do not want TLD. Then we can go for tenofovir, lamivudine with lopinavir, ritonavir. Is it clear? I don't want TLD, they say. You can't give efavirenz because of so many factors. Then you can go for lopinavir, ritonavir based regimen. Okay. So we'll come to the first line ART containing zidovudine. Okay. So if they have taken NNRTA, PA, whatever, the second line is going to be TLD. Okay. So zidovudine based regimen, either NNRTA, PA based regimen. If they have failed, you are going to go for TLD as second line. If tenofovir is contraindicated, you can go for abacavir. Okay. Then coming to the first line ART with either tenofovir or abacavir. If it is NNRTA based first line, you can change over to ZLD. But if the hemoglobin is less than 9 grams, you can give neither of the NRTAs. So you can't use any of the NRTAs. So you have to skip NRTAs, go for dolutegravir with lopinavir, ritonavir. Because you have used NNRTA first time, you are going to fail NNRTA. So you have to go for dolutegravir with lopinavir, ritonavir. Okay. If they have put on PA based first line, PA based first line is going to be either atazanavir or lopinavir. So you can't use either. So you can go for ZLD, that is zidovudine lamivudine and dolutegravir, similar to what we did initially. So tenofovir abacavir containing regimen either failing NNRTA or PA based first line, you can go for ZLD. If we have already used PA based first line with atazanavir or lopinavir, if the hemoglobin is less than 9 grams, then we can't use zidovudine. Then we have to go for dolutegravir. And since we cannot use both the first line protease inhibitors, namely atazanavir and lopinavir, we have to go for darunavir, the best or the second line protease inhibitor or a third line drug. Okay, so we can't give lopinavir or atazanavir. We have to go for darunavir. If the first line ART is TLD, that is integrase based inhibitor, based first line, we can go for ZL with atazanavir, right? So we haven't used protease inhibitors so far. If you are using first line ART with TLD, integrase inhibitors have failed, so you have to go for zidovudine, lamivudine, atazanavir, ritonavir. If the hemoglobin is less than 9 grams, you have to go for dolutegravir with lopinavir. Here the point I want to emphasize is that there are not many studies of dolutegravir with atazanavir. So we never combine atazanavir with dolutegravir. If we are going to use dolutegravir, we are going to use lopinavir. Okay? We are not going to use atazanavir because of lack of much studies. Okay? Suppose the first line is ZLD. It is an integrase based first line. It has failed. We can go for TL atazanavir ritonavir. So tenofovir lamivudine with atazanavir ritonavir. Then suppose there are multiple NRTA exposure. So they have failed an NRTA based first line. So you can't give an NRTA, you can't give an NRTA. So you have to go for dolutegravir with lopinavir. Again, as we said, we are not giving atazanavir because of lack of studies. Okay? Then multiple NRTA exposed if they had PA based first line. PA based first line could be either atazanavir or lopinavir. So we can't use neither. So we have to go for dolutegravir with darunavir. Okay? Right. Any HIV patient co-infected TB should receive the BID dosage of dolutegravir until the patient completes ATT. Okay? If the patient is having co-infection with hepatitis B, they will receive additional TL. Okay? Even if they are on regimen with zidovudine or whatever, if they are not having any NRTAs at all for their HIV, if they have hepatitis B, we have to add TL. Okay? That is mainly for hepatitis B. I think hope things are clear. Then, third line regimen should always include new drugs with minimal risk of cross resistance to previously used GABs. So we are going to have a wonderful combination. The two best drugs which we saw with all the figures we had, the two best drugs are dolutegravir and darunavir, the two Ds. So we are going to form a third line ART with two Ds. The third line ART will be started by ART centers after receiving advice from SASAP of the respective select ART centers or centers of excellence. So the regimen is going to be dolutegravir with darunavir. Here, if an integrase inhibitor has been used previously, we have to give dolutegravir BID dosage. If integrase inhibitor has not been used, it's enough to give OD dosage. Again, I re-emphasize, if integrase inhibitors have been used before, you give dolutegravir BD. If they have not been used, it's enough to give dolutegravir OD dosage. Okay? Clear. Any PLHIV again with hepatitis B will receive additional TL. So don't forget HIV here. We have to give TL for hepatitis B. Okay? Right. So WHO recommends dolutegravir as the preferred first line drug for all children at the age more than 6 years and weight more than 20 kg. So what are the weight bands available? Weight less than 20 kg or age less than 6 years, we cannot give dolutegravir. So we are going to give abacavir, lamivudine, and lopinavir ritonavir. So in this weight band or age band, we cannot give tenofovir. So we give abacavir. Lamivudine we are going to give anyway. And third drug is going to be lopinavir ritonavir because we cannot use dolutegravir in this weight band and age band. Then coming to the weight band of 20 to 30 kg and age between 6 to 10 years, we are going to use abacavir. Since we cannot use tenofovir, we give abacavir, lamivudine with dolutegravir. Here we can safely use dolutegravir. And weight above 30 kg and above 10 years, no hazards at all, we can use TLD, right? Clear? Yes. Okay, again, I'm re-emphasizing age of the child, less than 6 years, less than 20 kg, use abacavir, lamivudine with lopinavir. And between 6 to 10 years and weight band between 20 to 30 kg, we give abacavir 3DC with dolutegravir. More than 10 years and more than 30 kg, if there is no renal problem, we give TLD. If there is renal problem, we have to do away with tenofovir. So we give abacavir instead of tenofovir. So abacavir, 3TC and dolutegravir. If the weight is less than 30 kg, again we are going to avoid tenofovir. We are going to give abacavir. I think all clear? Right. So coming to the DTG based ART for TB HIV co-infection on rifampicin based ATT. So again, CLHIV on rifampicin ATT regimen should receive an additional dose of. These are the weight bands and these are the recommendations. So weight and age, weight less than 20 kg or age below 6 years. If it is that, we have to give abacavir, lamivudine with lopinavir, tenofovir. Here we cannot give rifabutin, so we have to give super boosting of ritonavir to further enhance the levels of lopinavir. What happens is that we are going to give rifampicin in this weight and age group. We cannot give rifabutin. So it is going to bring down the levels of even the boosted lopinavir. So we are going to give additional dose of ritonavir. So we are going to give abacavir, lamivudine with lopinavir, ritonavir with super boosting of ritonavir, and we are going to give rifampicin, right? Okay. Then coming to the weight band between 20 to 30 kg and age between 6 to 10 years. Here there is no problem at all. We are going to give dolutegravir. Only thing is we are going to give dolutegravir 50 mg PD. So here we are going to avoid tenofovir. We are going to give abacavir, lamivudine, dolutegravir. Dolutegravir is going to be given as pre-8 dosage. And weight above 30 kg and age above 10 years, no hazards at all. We give TLD with an additional dose of dolutegravir in the morning. Okay, very easy, very simple. Right. Now we are going to talk about the role in PEP. So PEP, here also it's a big drug. So tenofovir, lamivudine, dolutegravir, given as a single pill once daily, and the first tablet should be given as soon as exposure. And we have to continue for 4 weeks. So once daily for 4 weeks. So 4 weeks is similar for all drugs. Okay. So TLD is going to replace protease inhibitor based regimens for PEP. Suppose you are having a child. So in children, we can't give tenofovir. The preferred drug for children for PEP is zidovudine. Okay. But then if the hemoglobin is less than 9 grams, we can give abacavir. Okay. So child, as per weight band, we have to give. If they are less than 10 years, less than 30 kg, we can't give tenofovir. We are going to prefer zidovudine over abacavir. So ZL, so that's going to be the drug. So zidovudine and lamivudine is going to be preferred backbone. If hemoglobin is less than 9, we are going to give abacavir and lamivudine. Sorry for the mistake. So ZL is the preferred backbone. If zidovudine is contraindicated, we are going to give abacavir and lamivudine. That is AL. If the hemoglobin is less than 9 grams. Okay. If the weight is more than 10 years, 30 kg, and age is more than 10 years, we can safely give tenofovir, lamivudine backbone. So what is going to be the third drug? So you have got two options. One is lopinavir, ritonavir, and second is dolutegravir. If the weight is less than 20 kg, age is less than 6 years, we are going to opt for lopinavir, ritonavir. If the weight is more than 20 kg and age more than 6 years, we are going to give dolutegravir. I think so far clear. So whatever available stocks of dolutegravir we should utilize first. And in patients with HIV, TB, we are giving rifampicin. So we are going to give an additional dose of dolutegravir. And in case of children on dolutegravir based regimen, if the weight is more than 20 kg and age is more than 6 years, we are going to safely replace dolutegravir with dolutegravir 50 milligram OD. So all PLHIVs transition to DTG based regimen should be counseled and informed about the rationale for transitioning. So you are going to tell the benefits. So the benefits are, it is very effective to treat HIV. resulting in quick maternal viral load suppression. The viral load suppression is as early as 4 weeks of starting treatment. Fewer maternal deaths significantly reduces the chance of transmitting HIV to the baby. So perinatal transmission is considerably reduced. And also to the partner, very few side effects. Again, the only thing is the Botswana Sepoma study where they have shown the increase in incidence of urinary disease. So this, we are getting more and more information, more studies are going on. But according to WHO, the benefits clearly outweigh the risks. Again, if they want to have TLE, preferably give TLE. Okay? Additionally, the following points need to be considered for women of reproductive age group. If you do not want to be pregnant, there are several options that can safely prevent pregnancy by taking DTG or TLD. Okay, you can discuss these options and they will be referred for family planning services. If you become pregnant while taking dolutegravir, please do not stop taking your medicine. You come back to the IT center and discuss with your doctor. So these are the regimens available all over India. So again, as we see, TLD tops the list, followed by ZLN, then ZLE, then tenofovir lambda atazanavir, then ALE, then zidovudine lambda atazanavir, so on and so forth, right? So after the introduction of, we have about almost 14 regimens. After the introduction of dolutegravir, the regimens are going to be made simpler. We are going to have about 6 regimens. So every PLHIV shall be tested for viral load before transition. That's very important because we have to decide whether we are going to give TLD as first line or second line. Clients with viral suppression shall be counseled and informed the rationale for transition to the DTG regimen. For women in reproductive age group, you should get informed choice. Okay, tell them the risks as well as the benefits. The existing stocks should be utilized properly before transition. Suppose they are virally unsuppressed. You have to undergo 3 months of step-up counseling while continuing this same existing regimen. Okay. So what are the patient's general concerns? I'm doing fine with my current medication. Why should I change? So you have to really iterate and reiterate. It may require 2 or 3 sessions of counseling. Sometimes it cannot be get over in one day. So you may have to ask the patient to come back again and again so that they get convinced before changing over to the dolutegravir based regimen. So you have to get the informed consent. So you have to explain all. When I get the side effects, much less when compared to efavirenz. You can tell them that the side effects of dolutegravir is much less when compared to efavirenz. And what about the weight gain? You can always tell them the healthy living, about the dieting and exercise and how to maintain the weight so that you don't get the adverse maternal and fetal outcomes of obesity for the mother. And coming to the women of childbearing age and potential, the risks and the benefits of DTG should be explained, and also the use of contraceptives. That's also an important factor, and also the pregnancy and DTG basis. We can always tell them that DTG is safe in pregnancy, especially in the second and third trimester. First trimester, yes, you have a question mark. You have to weigh the risks and the benefits. And you should also explain the rationale for transitioning to the new regimen. So this is going to be available to you. So you have to look at it, and there are a few changes which you have to verify and do. So these have to be done at all the IT centers. And these are the changes to be made in the MPR, the monthly progress report. So you have to make the appropriate changes which should be available to you. So thank you so much for the opportunity. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. Hope I was not very fast this time. I think.
No, so it was absolutely fine. Yeah, participants can please unmute themselves if they have any questions, or they can type in the chat box.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for this informative session.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ravichandran sir, for your valuable session. We thank all the participants for utilizing today's session. Information regarding the next session will be sent to you. Thank you.
Sir, can we wait for 5 minutes, please, in case somebody has questions?
Yes, I'm here. I'm very much here. Yeah, I won't go until the last question is answered, or at least queried.
Yes. Participants, please feel free to type in the chat box if you have any questions. So there's a question in the chat box. ANC with needle prick, PP. PP. Dr. Samundeshwari, can you please unmute yourself? PPE. Yes. Okay. PP for ANC with needle prick. That's the question, sir.
ANC, again, here also, it depends whether they are in the first trimester or second and third trimester. If it is second and third trimester, you can straight away go for dolutegravir-based regimen. If it is first trimester, we have to explain the risks and benefits of dolutegravir. And if they don't want dolutegravir, probably we have to go for the lopinavir, ritonavir instead of dolutegravir. So you should give them the option. Second and third trimester, no hazards at all. We can straight away opt for dolutegravir. First trimester, you can give them the option of lopinavir. I would rather prefer lopinavir over efavirenz. So if they don't want DTG, after explaining all this, I think we can go for lopinavir rather than efavirenz in this situation. I think, is it clear, man? Yeah, thank
So I think no more questions for now. So there are no more questions in the chat box now.
You can always communicate to a center.
Yes.
Through the mail, we can also always answer.
Yes.
If I'm not able to answer, I'll always come back and answer. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. We'll end the session now. Thank you.